people would say like your vernacular is so different, like you don't sound like you're Mexican, you sound like you're
Mm-hmm.
white. And it's like, and it sucks to like even accept this, but even taking that as a compliment, and it's like, wow, that's internalized racism as well, and we don't talk about that. Now that I like, look back on this, I'm like, wow, like it sucks. It's sad to see how colonized we were as even just young women, just existing, just women of color existing and being so heavily colonized with these beauty standards that we were never going to amount to, because that's not who we are. And it's that lack of self-love and self-love for our people sometimes when we grow up. So I just wanted to point that out, because I was like, dang, like someone else sees that, like, even though we might have gone to predominantly like his quote unquote again Hispanic or Latino schools,
Yeah.
still wanting to be something other than that. But I think like the major takeaway from this is just, kind of just going back to the source, and also not kind of literally going back to the source, but also just having these discussions and seeing different perspectives and creating this like space where we can comfortably talk about these things that are so crucial within our society to talk about. um and just diving into like, who are we, who am I within these spaces, who am I in the like grand scheme of society, and what is my purpose,
Mm-hmm.
um not only have I been displaced from the country that I should have grown up in, I'm in this other country so imperialistic, literally. It's like, shit, who am I again? Like, okay, so I'm from Mexico, my roots are from Mexico, but I'm in the US. I'm a woman, but I am a woman of color. Now I'm in academia, and then
Yeah.
schools were made to assimilate us. So I'm just like, shit, like, oh my God, there's like so many things, happening all at once. And it's just, sometimes we need to take a deep breath and take it one by one, but it's also like everything's happening so fast. It's like you want to take it all on. It's like, bring it to me. I'm gonna freaking run over all of this. But it's just, yeah, it's like, it's so complex. I have to say, it's really complex. And it's more than just that, but it's like, if I can put it into like a simple word, this whole thing is super complex.
Yeah. And I feel like how you were saying, how you said that your friend who was white mentioned, like, how can you feel like uncomfortable or kind of like out of place? It was mostly brown, but it's like, yeah, but my teachers were probably mostly white, right?
Exactly.
I didn't come across a brown teacher or a brown woman until I was in college. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
is it that the books we were reading weren't written by people who look like me? Or because it's like, the way I learn is, it's still, white is still the default.
Mm-hmm.
Cisgender people are still the default,
Yes.
and the other is LGBTQIA folks. The other is brown, black, people of color, period. So trying to unlearn that and normalize that they should no longer be the default. It shouldn't just be that. And so I get
Mm-hmm.
what you mean. Still seeing people in high school where, yeah, everyone looks like you, but it's like your teachers can't relate to you, let alone, you can't even relate to the curriculum that you're learning, because you're
Yeah.
like, Shakespeare, who that? Because that's really, that's what I meant. When I would do the high school outreaches, that's what I would bring up to kids, because I'm like, who here likes poetry? And I make it sound like it's hip hop, and they're like, the fuck is that? Like, no, like Shakespeare. And it's sad, because that's what we were exposed to. People like Shakespeare and Walt Whitman, and you're like, bruh, like, we get it, like, well, we don't, because it's so, the vocabulary is so like, ugh. But
So, yeah.
um and so when you're 17 and you're brown or black, or you just like, why are we reading this? So it's unfortunate, and hopefully with people implementing more critical race theory and ethnic studies, they can hopefully also pick up literature that resonates with them, and
I agree.
and go from there. But I think we can close off. Any last words, Anita? I mean, I'm just looking forward to sorry for all the buts, and because we were all nervous. But I really hope y'all stay tuned with us for next week. We'll be releasing our episodes every Thursday. And we have a bunch of cool, really cool
Topics.
topics that we're going to be talking about. Yeah, we have.
Yes.
Next week we'll be talking about feminism. And down the road we'll be talking about colorism. What else?
Race,
Race and
patriarchy, machismo, intersectionality.
yes,
I like
absolutely.
all these things.
I think one of them that we also listed was just, and we also mentioned in our women's circle, we had a really great talk about that, was just how the taboos of sex. That one was a
Oh
really good
yes.
one. We talked about, pigmentation in the skin, and that was a really good one. It was kind of intimate, but I really liked what I learned stuff from that. And that's another thing that I want to remind folks who are listening is that even though, we're out here in a university, students, I mean, that's what we are at the end of the day. We're still students, we're still learning. So if there's anything that's inaccurate, or you're welcome to correct us. And
Yes.
also follow us on Instagram. We are De La Roots on Instagram. And anything else, Anita, you want to?
Yes, I want to like reiterate that we are students, we're still learners. We're always going to be in that learner seat because knowledge is never ending, literally. We're going to be gaining this knowledge until the day we pass on. And just because we're in academia, that doesn't mean that we know everything. We learn much of our knowledge from the elders and individuals who are part of the movement and didn't get to go to college and go into these academic capitalistic money making, wanted to be part of this society in that way.
She's just gonna throw shade on Cal State LA.
I am no, not even Cal State LA, but just the fact that we are forced in a way to go to college. Like if we don't go to college, then we're somehow nothing.
Right.
It sucks.
Which we'll talk about another time.
Yes. But it's just, yeah, like everything you said, we have so much to talk about, so many things to connect it to. And they're also widely complex, but they interconnect to one another. And these all like stem back to colonial times, colonization, capitalism, and this is our society, and we have to talk about these things.
And feel free to DM us of anything else you want to hear, what you want us to talk about, as long as we have knowledge of it, or at least we educate ourselves before we, share or upload the podcast, definitely. But yeah, we have good things in store for this podcast. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. I'm ready. And in the future, we may have not co-stars, I'll say co-stars. We'll have people who come in who are more knowledgeable about those things, and we'll have like discussions.
Guest speakers. I love
guest
that.
speakers. Yes. There you go. Not
yeah.
co-stars. Jeez.
All right. Well, that's all we have for now today, y'all. Stay warm, stay dry, but enjoy this rain that we've been blessed with, thank God, because California is in a drought.
Yeah, dry as hell out here.
But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. We'll see y'all next week.